I've been jealous of Timmy Turner's life for like 15 years. Seriously. Who wouldn't want magical friends that granted your every wish? Cosmo and Wanda were the perfect godparents. They were Timmy's best friends and they always gave him like the coolest stuff in the entire world. But have you ever stopped to realize that without his godparents, Timmy Turner's life would be pretty miserable? If you haven't, don't worry. Cartoon Conspiracy is here again to ruin your childhood for you. So what if fairy godparents and all of fairy world didn't actually exist? And what if Cosmo and Wanda were really just manifestations of the antidepressants Timmy Turner was taking? This theory, originally contrived on Reddit, states that Cosmo and Wanda never existed. Timmy Turner is just a 10-year-old kid suffering from depression and anxiety, and his fairy godparents are really just personifications of his antidepressants. Cosmo being Zoloft, and Wanda being Prozac. The theory begins with the pilot episode of The Fairly Oddparents that aired as a part of Oh Yeah Cartoons way back in 1998. In this episode, Timmy meets his horrendous babysitter Vicky for the first time. And with the misery that Vicky inflicts upon Timmy comes his fairy godparents. As a part of the gajillion rules in the rulebook, Timmy's godparents will only be around as long as he needed them, usually when he is feeling sad, upset, or scared. Let's be honest here, Timmy's life is not the greatest. His parents are oblivious and borderline negligent. They constantly leave him alone with the worst babysitter to ever walk the face of the earth. And even his crazy teacher, Mr. Crocker, is constantly out to get him. He's just a kid, and it's believable that he would need some sort of relief from all of this. Just maybe instead of magic, it's prescription drugs. Much like clinical depression and anxiety, which can affect you your entire life, Cosmo and Wanda seem to stay in Timmy's life way past his childhood. Technically, you lose your fairy godparents when you become a grown-up, but Timmy has found a way to bend those rules. You can see this in the live-action adaptations of The Fairly Oddparents starring Drake Bell. And in the rulebook, there is actually a Timmy Turner loophole, essentially stating that if you are Timmy Turner and you are over the age of 13 years old, and as long as you don't make any selfish wishes, you can keep your fairy godparents. You can also see this in use in the Season 5 TV special, Timmy's Secret Wish. Using a handheld aging device, Timmy sees that Cosmo and Wanda will be with him well into his 20s, which could be a metaphor for how Timmy continues to struggle with his depression. Other theories speculate that practically all of the fairies Timmy interacts with in the show are metaphors for drugs as well. For example, the overly buff Jordan Von Strangle is a metaphor for steroids, and Wandissimo, Wanda's macho ex-boyfriend, is Viagra. So if the fairies are all metaphors for drugs, what could Mr. Crocker be? You know, Timmy's psycho teacher who is bent on outing Cosmo, Wanda, and all of fairy world. Is he really Timmy's teacher? Or is it possible that he's actually Timmy's therapist attempting to convince Timmy to drop the drugs? So could Cosmo and Wanda really be Zoloft and Prozac? And could all of fairy world be a metaphor for drug use? For those of you not currently crying on the floor in the fetal position, reevaluating your favorite childhood TV shows, we're gonna keep moving on. Coming off of these kinds of drugs can be difficult, and I can see why Vicky would give Timmy lasting traumatization. In the Season 6 episode, Wishing Well, Timmy is actually sent to wish rehab for over-wishing Cosmo and Wanda, which could really be a very clear metaphor for drug overdose. Now, there are many different rules about how to lose your fairy godparents. But one in particular actually supports this theory. If a godchild says, I am happy and I don't need my fairy godparents anymore, they disappear, much like antidepressants. If someone decides they're better off without their drugs, they no longer have to take them. As much as it pains me to say it, this theory could actually make sense. Now, I'm not saying creator Butch Hartman created the show as a commentary on prescription drugs, but the more you look into fairy world, more connections can be drawn about all kinds of drug use. Aside from Wandissimo being Viagra, cause that doesn't make any sense for a 10-year-old boy. Some speculate that Mark Chang, Timmy's Yugopotamian friend, could be marijuana because of his spaced out personality and the green smoke that surrounds his ship. The anti-fairies could be harmful drugs like heroin, and the pixies could be placebos due to their inability to perform magic. So I'm definitely not saying this theory is 100% canon, but it really is an interesting way to interpret the show. It's hard to give a solid rating for a theory like this, but if I really had to, I would give the Fairly Oddparents conspiracy 3 Philip the Nickels out of 5. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Cartoon Conspiracy. In the comments, let me know what you thought of this conspiracy and if you agree or disagree with how I rated it. If you guys have any suggestions for theories you'd like us to cover, write it in the comments or send us an email. Make sure you check out how to join the Channel Frederator network and subscribe to Channel Frederator, and I'll see you guys next week.